Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. My name is Siti Haja and along with my teammates Nasuha, Fatiha and Atika, we'll be presenting a comparative analysis of the bilingual policies of Singapore and Finland. So for this presentation, we have divided the content into several parts. We'll begin by highlighting Singapore's and Finland's bilingual policies, individually focusing on their main tenets, strengths, weaknesses, features relevant to Malaysian learners, and recommendation for modifications. After that, we'll conduct a side-to-side comparison of Singapore, Malaysia, and Finland to better understand the similarities and differences in their approaches to bilingual education. Finally, we will wrap up with a conclusion summarizing our key findings. So let's start off with the first part, which is the main tenets of Singapore's bilingual policy, a fundamental framework that underpins Singapore's educational system that and contributes significantly to the nation's social unity and global competitiveness. Okay, the first standard of the policy is that English is the first language for Singaporeans. It is a primary medium of instruction in all schools and is also the standard language used in the workplace, government, and administration. So, choosing English serves multiple strategic purposes. Firstly, it acts as a neutral common language in Singapore's multicultural society, which is home to diverse ethnic groups such as Chinese, Malays, and Indians. English allows these communities to communicate effectively and helps promote national unity by providing a shared linguistic platform. Secondly, English equips Singaporeans with a competitive edge in the global economy. Being fluent in English means Singaporeans can participate effectively in the international trade, diplomacy, science, technology, and even higher education. In this way, English proficiency is a key enabler of Singapore's success of the world stage. So the second one complements the first. Every student is also required to learn their ethnic mother tongue. Mandarin for Chinese students, Malay for Malays, and Tamil for Indians. This is more than just language learning. The aim is to ensure that Singaporean maintains a strong connection to their cultural heritage, values, and identity. By learning their mother tongue, this balance helps Singapore preserve its unique multicultural fabric. And students also able to preserve their cultural roots and maintain links with their family traditions and also community practices. Next one would be distinct roles of languages. So the bilingual policy also clearly defines the distinct roles each languages plays in Singaporean society. English function as the official working language of government, business, and education. It is the language of official documents, international communication, and academic instruction. So this practical use of English facilitates Singapore's integration into the global economy. On the other hand, the mother tongue language serve important cultural and community roles. They are used in cultural events, religious ceremonies, family interactions, and community bonding. This allows the languages to thrive in their traditional context, preserving cultural identity while English carries the practical functions. The fourth one, another key is that the bilingual education starts early, beginning at primary one, the first year of formal schooling. From the very start of their education, students are immersed in both English and their mother tongue language. This early exposure is very critical for developing strong language foundations and help children become comfortable and proficient in both languages. The policy ensures that students don't just learn languages academically, but also develop practical bilingual skills that allow them to navigate both local cultural contexts and global environments with ease. Finally, would be the standardized language forms. Singapore emphasized the use of standardized language forms to maintain clarity and professionalism. For English, this For English, this means promoting standard English in schools and workplace, while discouraging informal variants such as Singlish in official context. Similarly, for the Chinese community, Singapore promotes standard Mandarin over Chinese dialects through initiatives like the Speak Mandarin campaign. So all these efforts aim to strengthen communication skills, improve mutual intelligibility, and ensure Singaporeans speak in a way that is understood and respected both locally and also internationally. So in summary, in terms of the main tenets, Singapore's bilingual policy is built on five main tenets. And these comprehensive and strategic approaches have played a major role in shaping Singapore into a society that is both culturally diverse and also globally competitive. Okay, so moving on for the next part. So next I'll be speaking about the strength of Singapore's bilingual policy, which is a unique model not only supports social integration, but also drives economic success and cultural preservations. So let's start with the first major strength. The first one is the social cohesion through mutual respect. Singapore is known globally as a multicultural and multiracial society, home to Chinese, Malay, Indians, and other ethnic communities. Maintaining unity in such a diverse environment isn't something that happens naturally. It is a result of thoughtful policies, and the bilingual policy is a perfect example of that. So, through this policy, students are required to learn English as a first language, but they also study their ethnic mother tongue, be it Chinese, Malay, or Tamil, as a second language. So this does more than just improves communication skills. It creates a shared understanding across ethnic groups while allowing each community to remain connected to its cultural identity. In essence, bilingualism becomes a bridge not only between individuals and their heritage, but also between different communities. This helps reduce misunderstanding, encourages interracial friendship, and strengthens the social fabric of the nation. Singapore's peaceful coexistence of diverse culture is not accidental. It is built on the foundation of policies like this one that promote respect, empathy, and also shared identity. So let's move on for the second strength of the policy, which is the academic and global competitiveness. So one of the most strategic choices Singapore made was to adopt English as the primary medium of instruction and the official working language. Why is this so powerful? Because English connects Singapore to the global economy. It allows the country to participate effectively in international trade, diplomacy, finance, and even technology. So it ensures that students graduate with the language skills needed to engage with global knowledge and opportunities, whether it is whether it is closing business deals, publishing research, or attracting foreign investors. Singapore's English-speaking workforce gives it a significant edge in the global market. So this policy also ensures that Singaporeans can thrive globally. They can compete in multinational corporations such as study at the top, international universities, and collaborate across borders. And yet, what is remarkable is that while focusing on English for global success, the country hasn't sacrificed its cultural roots, and that leads us to the final strength, which is the cultural and linguistic preservation. So while English plays the role of a common and functional language, the mother tongue component of the bilingual policy ensures that the cultural identity is not lost. Each student is expected to learn their ethnic language, whether it is Chinese, Malay, or Tamil. And this goes far beyond language proficiency. It nurtures a sense of belonging and pride in one's heritage. This means children grow up with not only global outlook, but also a strong understanding of their family tradition, community stories, and also ethnic values. It strengthens the intergenerational bonds where young people can still communicate with grandparents or understand the deeper meanings behind the cultural practices. On a national level, this actually helps preserve Singapore's rich cultural diversity. It is not about blending everyone into one identity, but about celebrating differences and ensuring that every cultural voice remains alive and valued. So, in summary, Singapore's bilingual policy stands out because it achieves what a few education systems manage to balance, which are it promotes social cohesion by building bridges across ethnic communities. Second, it boosts economic competitiveness by equipping citizens with global language skills. And the third one, it protects cultural heritage by maintaining strong ties to the mother tongue languages. So this strategic and balanced approach reflects Singapore's commitment to diversity and resilience and inclusive development. With that, I'll now hand over to the next presenter who will be sharing some of the challenges and weaknesses of this bilingual policy. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and a very good day to Dr. Ihsan. I'm Nasuha binti Alias and I'm going to continue the presentations with the weaknesses of Singapore's bilingual policy. So let's start with the first one, which is language proficiency challenges. So despite the wide use of English in Singapore, but there are many students struggle to achieve high level of English proficiency. This somehow lead to the use of Singapore colloquial English or well known as Singlish. So the use of Singlish among Singaporeans can be a unique identifier for Singaporeans, but it is not a standard English, which somehow leave a gap that has been a concern among the governments. Besides, students also are not proficient in their mother tongue language due to the limited daily use. So in their daily communications and at schools, most students use English. So it limit the students to practice and master their mother tongue language in their daily life. The second weakness is hierarchy of language. So English is seen as a superior, more prestigious than vernacular language. And this contributes to a belief that mother tongue language is less important. So English role as a primary working language in Singapore somehow give a higher social and economic status compared to other language. And these perceptions often leads to negative attitudes towards vernacular language, and most of the vernacular communities, it seems as those who are having less social, economic, and political power than those aligned in English. And the third weaknesses is regarding cultural disconnection. So this is about the standardizations forms of mother tongues, which leads to a loss of linguistic diversity and disconnections between generations. So in Singapore, Chinese students who learn or use Cantonese or other dialect at home will be taught in English at schools. So over time, this standardization form of mother tongue will lead to a loss of native dialects. So this will limit students' ability to comprehend and appreciate their cultural roots. As we all know, dialect is not just a language, but it comes with the stories, jokes, as well as traditions behind it. And these all cannot be captured through the use of standardized language. So when the dialect is not being passed down, it will create a generational gaps, and a sense of disconnections from among the learners from their direct family heritage. So these are the weaknesses of Singapore bilingual policy. Moving on to the next one is the suitable features to be adapted for Malaysians learner. So let's start with the first one, which is English for economic mobility. So like Singapore, Malaysia also should emphasize the use of English as an important language, which align with the economic and global demands. And the use of English widely among Malaysians will provide the learners with economic opportunities as well as international connections in various fields such as in business, science, as well as technology. Other than that, the cultural preservations via mother tongue educations also another suitable features to be adapted for Malaysians learner. So Malaysia is a multilingual nations with a diverse cultural landscape. So it is same with Singapore. Therefore, incorporating the mother tongue educations or mother tongue instructions will maintain cultural heritage and identity among diverse ethnic groups in Malaysia. So these two are suitable features of the Singapore bilingual tenets to be adapted for Malaysians learner. Next is the unsuitable features to be adapted for Malaysians learner. So the unsuitable features identified throughout the bilingual policy is standardizations of mother tongue. So in Singapore, all Chinese students will learn in Mandarin at schools, regardless of their various dialect at home. For example, Cantonese, Hokkien, and others. And this somehow, as mentioned before, will lead to a loss of diverse dialect, which an important part of cultural heritage. So the students will not know or use diverse dialect or multiple dialects instead of only focusing on one single mother tongue, which is Mandarin. So for Malaysia, these standardizations of mother tongue, such as using only Mandarin for Chinese or Tamil for Indian, is not suitable features. It is due to the diverse linguistic landscape in Malaysia. It is due to the diverse linguistic landscape in Malaysia, where multiple dialects and language coexist within the ethnic groups. Okay, so this feature it seems unsuitable because it will ignore the rich variety of dialects within that exist within the ethnic and communities in Malaysia. Moving on to the next one, or the last one here, is the recommendations for modification. So these recommendations is for the unsuitable features that has been mentioned before, which is standardizations of mother tongue. So instead of focusing on one single mother tongue, Malaysia should promote and support diversity, linguistic diversity within ethnic groups. So as Malaysians, we should appreciate that within our Chinese community, there are many dialects spoken beyond Mandarin. So in each state, they use different kind of dialects. For example, Hokkien, Cantonese, Inclan, and others. Okay, so it is when we talk about the dialect, it is not just about the dialect. Okay, since I have mentioned before, the dialect is not just a language, but it comes with the traditions, jokes, and stories behind it. So the use of diversity of ethnic diversity of dialects will preserve heritage among the language spoken by the families, as well as protect the personal identity of the language. So what are we going to do to promote and support linguistic diversity within ethnic groups? So here are a few practical implementations. So first thing first is to offer students to learn flexible language or dialects. Okay, so students are given options to learn additional dialects and language instead of using one mother tongue. So other than that, it is also important to provide resources such as books, videos, or other materials that can help students to learn the dialect better. So the resources must be in various dialects so that it will be interesting for the students to learn the dialects or the language. Besides, we should also support communities partnerships, for example, support groups or community that conduct dialect classes or, as well as cultural programs outside school. So the involvement among the young learners in these kind of programs will help them to improve the use of various dialects at their daily life. Last but not least, is balancing linguistic diversity and national identity. So actively supporting the learning of dialects and sub-language is very important to prevent any loss of culture. However, we as Malaysians should ensure that the Malay language or Bahasa Melayu must remain its status as national language. Okay, so Bahasa Melayu is a bahasa that is widely used in our country, Malaysia. So to preserve its unity and national identity, it should be used widely among the learners or students in our country. So it is very important to ensure that all students and learners can be able to speak, write, and read in Bahasa Melayu. So when everyone uses the same language and understand each others, it will bring everyone together and confirms Bahasa Melayu or the language rules as a language that binds the nations together. Why it is very important for us to learn diverse language to keep it from cultural loss, but it is very important also to ensure that Bahasa Melayu or Malay language remains its status as national identity of language in our country. So this is all about the bilingual policy in Singapore. Next presentations will be focusing on the other bilingual policy, which is Finland bilingual policy.
Will continue about our second part, which is Finland's bilingual policy. A little bit of background information. In Finland, both Finnish and Swedish are official languages. Finnish is spoken by the majority of the population. Swedish, however, has roots in Finland's medieval period when the region was a part of the Swedish kingdom, leading to Swedish-speaking communities. Finland is divided into 313 municipalities, of which 33 are bilingual and the rest unilingual with either Finnish or Swedish as the primary language. Situation in 2017. Most of the bilingual municipalities are located on the west coast. Moreover, Finnish is known as Finland's main language. Initially just a local dialect, Finnish was established as the official language of the country later in 1892. However, Swedish is known as the national language from a historical perspective. So, the presence of Swedish has significantly shaped Finland's linguistic and cultural landscape, largely due to Finland's historical union with Sweden until 1809. Moving on to the main tenets, the first main tenets of Finland's bilingual policy is family language policy. This is where families are only allowed to choose one language for their child to be the child's first language, even if the family is bilingual. Parents in Finland who have the relevant languages can choose whether or not their children will be either monolingually Finnish or Swedish or bilingual in both. And one of the most important ways they do this is by choosing the language their children are using in schools. Another form of family language policy often used in bilingual families is called one person, one language. This is where parents usually speak one language, most often their native language, to their child, and thus help them to maintain both languages, as cited by Cart, Christensen, and Lanza in 2018. Another main tenet is mother tongue rights. This is where individuals have the right to use their native language, either Finnish or Swedish, when interacting with public authorities and in the legal system. This is because both language groups have the right to education in their own mother tongue. So, since Finnish and Swedish are officially recognized as national languages, they have equal rights and legal standing. For example, bilingualism in public services. Public authorities are obligated to provide services in both languages, regardless of the individual's language preference. Another one is local government responsibilities. This is where local municipalities and other administrative bodies are responsible for ensuring that services and education are available in both Finnish and Swedish. Moving on to another main tenet is the linguistics rights. Language rights for migrants. Non-Finnish citizens also have the same linguistic rights as Finnish citizens. This is to ensure that they can access public services in their preferred language. Another one is the emphasis on linguistic right, not citizenship. So linguistic rights in Finland are not tied to citizenship, meaning that both citizens and non-citizens have the same rights to use Finnish or Swedish before authorities. And the last main tenet is the Sami language rights. So the Sami language is a language that is spoken by the Sami indigenous population in northern Finland. They also have significant legal protections and rights, including the right to use it in education and other public services. As for the strengths, Finland bilingual policy ensures all students learn both official languages. From educational system support, the Finnish educational system plays a key role in promoting bilingualism, where both national languages being part of the core curriculum. This ensures that students develop proficiency in both languages and understand the cultural significance of each. It also highlighted on individual and societal benefits, where multilingualism is seen as an asset for both individuals and society as a whole. Language proficiency enhances cognitive skills, where they opens up professional opportunities and enriches personal experiences. Another strength of this policy is the strong support for minority languages. Its emphasis on linguistic rights. So the Language Act of 1922, which amended in 2004, regulates public services in both official languages. This is to guarantee that individuals have the right to receive services in their native tongue. It also focuses on international engagement. So the widespread proficiency in English alongside the national languages allow Finland to participate effectively in the international arena. This is to further strengthened by the fact that many Finns are also proficient in other languages, thus broadening their horizons and opportunities. And the last strength is that this policy promotes cultural diversity and inclusivity. So Finland actually embraces its multilingualism by recognizing it as a valuable resource. This includes both the official language and other languages spoken within the country, then fostering a sense of inclusivity and understanding. It also focuses on strong foundation for bilingualism. So Finland has a long history of parallel use of Finnish and Swedish, which creating a strong foundation for its bilingual policy. This historical context, coupled with active government initiative, it ensures the continued viability of both languages. Nevertheless, I think it's important for us to note that there are some weaknesses of Finland's bilingual policy. The first weakness is that it requires significant resources for teacher training and materials. According to a research which was conducted by Alisa Jet et al. In 2023 under her journal article titled Finnish Teachers' Perspective on Creating Multilingualism Learning Opportunities in Diverse Classroom, the administrative and financial burdens of providing parallel services in education, judiciary, and public services can be significant. The study highlighted some challenges. The first challenges is from personnel related challenges, which focuses on lack of teacher skills, lack of staff or interpreters who share the student first language, and also no knowledge of student first language or their needs. It also causes by the lack of time, the resources where groups are too big and too linguistically heterogeneous, lack or insufficient materials or tool, and also lack of general resources and support. It also caused by student-related challenges such as student language and literacy skills, lack of student willingness, teaching first grade in primary school, and also lack of first language peers. Another weakness is some regions focus more on one language, leading to gaps in proficiency. So there is a dominance of Finnish because in some regions, particularly where Swedish speakers are a smaller percentage of the population, the increasing dominance of Finnish can create challenges for supporting the Swedish language. And also the separation of the national languages in the educational system remain unquestioned for a long time, whereas the requirement to study Swedish has raised tensions, particularly in the less Swedish speaking areas on Finland. It also notes the availability of language immersion varies regionally and cannot be regarded as an equal choice of language education for everyone. This is where the criteria for assessing bilingual education in Finland is not always transparent, and language emphasized education has been connected to the patterns of parental school choice of middle class families. Therefore, the risk of linguistic fragmentation, where communities may become isolated based on language preference, potentially leading to social divisions.
Okay, now I am going to start presenting suitable features to be adapted for Malaysian learners in the context of Finland's bilingual policy. Firstly, support for mother tongue instruction. Finland offers mother tongue education to immigrant children to support multilingualism and native language skills. So we highly think that it is commendable for Malaysia to support mother tongue instruction, especially Malaysia has quite a percentage of immigrants coming to our country, especially those who come from Indonesia, Filipina, Bangladesh. So this feature can be adapted for to our national education curriculum. Secondly, integration of multilingualism in national curriculum. Finland's curriculum values languages and cultures, promoting bilingualism and respect for everyone's linguistic and cultural identity. So, as I said earlier, it is important for us to ensure that the immigrants' children coming to our country get to learn and uphold their language and also their culture. If they are not given any platform or mediums for them to learn their HCL, it is possible for them to gradually forget about it. Number three, early introduction of foreign languages. Finland starts foreign language learning early in first grades, second semester to improve retention and skills. In our country, our children start learning foreign language apart from English, starting in form 3, form 1. So that is 13 years old. That is way later than how Finland is doing it. So this is also a suitable feature for us to adapt to, for our children to learn foreign language earlier on. Okay, unsuitable features to be adapted for Malaysian learners. Firstly, Finland supports mother tongue education, but they are lacking in providing qualified teachers for many minority languages like Arabic, Chinese, Somali, and Vietnamese. So I think this is more on the technical issues of providing professional and well-trained teachers for all these immigrant children. Same goes to Malaysia. I think it is unsuitable for us if we are still not able to provide trainings for teachers who are going to teach immigrants children, because immigrants, they don't have the same background as us, as locals. They come from a different kind of background, different kind of culture, different socioeconomics, and everything in between. So it is important for us to provide teachers who are well trained, who are professional at handling immigrants children who have such big gap and difference with us. Okay, secondly, Finland's bilingual education has separate Finnish and Swedish schools, limiting cross-language interaction and ignoring growing multilingual classrooms. This can actually be seen in our country because we still have vernacular school, such as SJKT that supports Tamil for the Indians and SJKC that supports Mandarin for the Chinese. However, we have to take into account that after completing upon completing primary schools, all these children, they are gradually are going to enroll into a secondary school is that is when vernacular school is no longer available. So all these children who were once in vernacular school, they would have to enroll into the national stream school, where they have to learn alongside friends who are not as the same race as them. And that is important because Malaysia is a multiracial country with three major races, and alongside the minorities like the Sabahan, the Sarawakian. Okay, recommendations for modifications. Implement a consistent and inclusive language policy framework. So if we were to really adapt Finland's policy in which they start teaching the immigrants' children, it is important for us to be consistent and inclusive. Consistent as in we have to provide teachers who are well trained, who are professional, who are ready to teach immigrants' children, and we also have to be inclusive. We can't be selecting and we can't be picky on which country, which countries, which language from which country that we are going to teach these immigrants. If we were to teach one language from one country, it is important for us to be inclusive. All the immigrants' children have to be taught their HCL. Secondly, promote multilingualism through early language exposure. So instead of teaching our children foreign language at the age of 13, which in our humble opinion it is quite a bit on the later side, maybe we could start teaching foreign language early on. Thirdly, enhance teacher training for multilingual education. So as I said earlier, it is important for us to provide mediums and platforms for our teachers to really like professionally taught on how to teach a foreign language. Okay, now moving on to the comparative tenets. Okay, for Singapore, English, sorry, English acts as the first language. It is a working language. It is widely used in education, government, business, in their work setting, while in Malaysia, Bahasa Malaysia as the national identity, and English is for global competitiveness. So Bahasa Malaysia is the national language of our country, and English promotes global relevance, in which when we are doing business with other foreign countries, the medium of communication would always be English. And for Finland, I'm sorry, there's a typo there. But for Finland, there is no single dominant national language. Their family language policy is on Finnish, Swedish, or Sami, based on home context. Secondly, for Singapore, mother tongue as the second language. So it is compulsory for Singaporean children to learn their mother tongue in accordance to their ethnicity, whether they are Malay, Chinese, or or Indian. For Malaysia, maintenance of mother tongues, like the Chinese, they go to SJKC to learn Mandarin better, and for the Indians, they go to SJKT, to learn Tamil better. All this school, SJKC and SJKT, is what we call as the vernacular schools. And we also recognize some of the indigenous languages. Okay, for Finland, they have strong mother tongue rights in law, instruction available in Finnish, Swedish, and Sami. Okay, thirdly, for Singapore, English, they have distinct roles of languages. Like English is more functional and global. Their mother tongue is more to cultural context, and Bahasa Melayu is symbolic national language. For Malaysia, we have MBM MBI. I believe this stands for memartabatkan Bahasa Melayu, memperkukuh Bahasa Inggeris, uphold Malay language and strengthening command of English. There is a clear separation. There is clear rule separation of between Bahasa Melayu and English, where Bahasa Melayu is our national language, and English is for global relevance, as I said earlier. Okay, for Finland, they have equal status of national languages. So Finnish and Swedish hold the same equal status, while Sami languages is recognized in native regions. Okay, number 4, for Singapore, they expose bilingual education early to their children. They learn English and their mother tongue since primary school. For Malaysia, we have DLP, Dual Language Program, that allows STEM subjects to be taught in English. STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. While in a normal context in our national school, these STEM subjects are taught in Bahasa Melayu, but for the LP, they are allowed to learn these subjects in English. In Finland, early multilingual exposure depending on region, Finnish, Swedish, or Sami instructions available. Okay, the last one for Singapore, standardized language forms. No indigenous language policies due to lack of native. Okay, for Malaysia, we promote standardized Bahasa Melayu, Mandarin and Tamil. We also acknowledge and supports indigenous languages like Iban, Kadazan Dusun and Semai. Okay, lastly for Finland, their standard language is of course Finnish and Swedish, but Sami language rights is protected, access to education and services in Sami regions. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.